It's the Weatherman, EV, Evidence, Dilated Peoples, Rhymesayers, live and direct, Hip Hop Vancouver. Y'all know what it is.
You're watching Hip Hop Vancouver. I'm your host, John Z, and today I'm joined by one half of the legendary, I should say 1/3 of the legendary hip hop group, Dilated Peoples. I'm very blessed to be sitting here with the one and only Evidence. What's up, Ev?
My man, how are you?
Good. Welcome to Hip Hop Vancouver.
Thank you for having me.
Now, your history in Vancouver actually stretches back a bunch of years.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the initial connection would have came from Madchild, Swollen Members, and Battle-Axe Records back in the day, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. Take us back to those times of first meeting Madchild, and do you have any like memories of like your first introductions to Vancouver?
Yeah, it was real early on Dilated Peoples. I met Madchild in California and San Diego at a thing called the B-Boy Summit. And I think they were performing at a Rocksteady event or something where we were performing at the same thing. I didn't have weed that day. I was looking for weed, and there was some kid going, "You need weed? I got weed for you," you know. And I thought at that time, like handing a big bud of weed to somebody wasn't like just common, or I wasn't used to that yet. You know, I was still early. We hadn't put out much music, so I thought that was really cool of him. And apparently, he had come from Vancouver and brought a lot of weed with him, and that was
As
that.
we do.
Yeah, and but you know, before it was popular though, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
or
for
whatever,
sure,
for
for
those
sure.
that knew what was going on. So yeah, he was really like, and then started telling me about his music. I met Prevail, his partner, and he said, if you ever want to come to Vancouver, you know, I have flown such and such out there before. We usually get you a show, and then you come record and drop something for my album. This is how much you get. And at the time, just the thought of getting paid for rap music was like any dollar amount was crazy. So eventually, I guess he hooked it up for us and AC Alone from Freestyle Fellowship to go do a show. And we did a show in Vancouver, and I'll never forget it. There was like 40 bottles, people drinking like big glass 40 bottles inside the club. You know, in LA, everything would be in paper, you know what I mean? And just for the violent possibilities, and people were partying and getting fucked up and really enjoying the music. And then we went and recorded. And the part that made it a little interesting was I stayed, Raka and AC Alone, and they all went back to LA, but I ended up staying for like a month. And at that age, when you're 18 or 19, a month is a long time to go to just stay with some strangers in another country, you know. So I stayed with them, Madchild, and they were living a crazy life. It was definitely wild, and I was staying making beats for them and working on their first album, Balance. So that led to like doing beats for them for pretty much a lot of their career. Even to recently, I produced a whole album for Madchild called Darkest Hour. So yeah, that's my introduction to Canada.
Let's break down the Weatherman theme that you bring to your albums, because typically you have kind of this rainy, stormy, sort of cloudy vibe to your beats, and it might be contrary to what people think as a rapper coming from sunny LA, right? Yeah. And I think here in Vancouver, you know, it really resonates with like our environments here. So I know personally I gravitate to that sound quite often because it's raining many months out of the year, right? So I feel like that really like meshes with my environments here. Yeah. But you're gonna kind of take an end to this Weatherman theme. Am I correct?
Oh, shit. Yeah. So, yeah, I made like 4 albums. Well, 3, an EP and 3 albums, all kind of like under Weatherman kind of moniker. You know what I mean? Or like my superhero or whatever. Just like being a person from LA who's not doing gangster rap, who lives at Venice Beach where it's gloomy in the morning and it's not all sunny, and just kind of like painting like the unsung story of Los Angeles, kind of that wasn't portrayed as much as like what you typically think of and that fits my personality. And so yeah, I made the Weatherman, then I made the Layover EP, which is like bad weather, think of a layover, then Cats and Dogs, which means heavy rain, and now Whether or Not. And Whether or Not to me means like take it or leave it, or for better or for worse, you know. And so yeah, I kind of want to put an end to this Weatherman chapter as a solo artist and just kind of open up something new.
It's been a good run.
Definitely.
And I thank you for that as a person who lives with rain a lot. So thank you for that.
Word up.
Recently I seen on your Twitter that you posted there's only 2 record labels left.
Twitter makes interviews now. It's just crazy, man.
Twitter and Instagram records. Break that down for us, especially being that you're on Rhymesayers Records. So
in the replies, I wrote Rhymesayers as an anomaly. But
Okay.
Yeah, I really wasn't talking about Rhymesayers. I was just saying, like, basically whatever you're on now, it's like really up to you to get on your Twitter or get on your Instagram and promote it. You know, that's like the main thing. The artist has become a key factor in their promotion, you know, and there's no artist who's void of it. So you could be on Atlantic, you could be on whatever, but it's still important for you as an artist to be tweeting out what you got to tweet or posting your photos of what you got to post. So ultimately, these are the last stops before it hits the people. So I was just tripping off, like, no matter what system you're on, they're always going to be asking you, promoters, labels, promotion companies are going to be asking you to promote. It's just a part of the way the game is right now. And those two, social medias, pretty much determine like how you're going to get your message out.
Right.
Yeah.
And that kind of reminded me of a line in your new album, Whether or Not, which is incredible. I love it. It's on steady rotation on my Spotify. But on the song Runners, you have a line, obviously, that goes, things I've never thought about, trying to be elusive in the process got forgot about. Right. And as you know, you're talking about social media and having to consistently be a presence, when back in the day, you could put out an album, kind of kick back and let it run its course and not necessarily be lost in the dust, you know, necessarily.
It just wasn't available, you know, so that was just what the climate of the industry was. But yeah, I really like that line, you know, trying to be elusive in the process, get forgot about. And you're really trying, and it's like you're trying to do some artistry shit and you're trying not to oversaturate and you don't want people to like know every nuance of your personal life. So you try to be like a little mysterious. And in this day and age, doing that just means he's not tweeting, he's not doing shit. He must not be giving a fuck.
Yeah.
So it's really
he must
hard.
Not be making music.
Yeah, whatever. Anything. So it's hard to be like, it really is hard to be elusive or hard to create a mystique and carry a brand, you know? There are artists who are doing it, but they're finding it on their own there are artists who are doing it, but they're finding it on their own terms by doing limited amounts of music or charging high prices, finding a way to hustle the system where it can still be lucrative and they can kind of be in the cut. So I super respect that. But like as an artist who's like trying to sell tickets and get out in front of the people and create a fan base, it's very difficult to not be active and be taken seriously.
The last Dilated Peoples album was Directors of Photography, which was released 4 years ago in 2014. Bring us up to speed on where Dilated is currently at and how differently do you approach a Dilated project, say, from your own solo album?
Dilated, we did a lot from, I would say, 98 when we put out our first 12-inch to our first album that came out in 2000. From 2000 to 2006, we had a good run doing 4 albums, you know, and those 4 albums for the time and era that and the climate of the industry we did well, you know. We had a few records to make it onto radio, even BETs and MTVs and stuff. Got to taste that a little bit. Didn't all the way strike with hits, but like made songs that resonated and found their place, you know, and had a really good run as far as touring. After that was done, it was time to do solo shit because we had always talked about it. Even if you look at the liner notes of our first album, it said, look out for our solo albums coming soon. And we didn't realize it wasn't just going to happen right away. When my mom passed away in 2004,
God rest.
Thank you. I really wanted an outlet to make a song for her, and we tried sticking that on our 2006 album 2020, and it really just didn't fit. It's like doing all these anthemic songs and then this personal thing. It just felt out of place. So I really wanted to make solo music at that point, and that's what started to lead into doing more and more of it and becoming more comfortable doing it. So I wouldn't say Dilated took a back seat after that, but it was just like I'm having fun, and creatively it's feeding me, you know what I mean? And I think I'm growing from it too also. There's times back in the day where I didn't really like performing if Raka wasn't going to be there, or I always had a huge support system within my group. The thought of me going out and doing an hour set by myself wasn't even a concept, you know? And so I had to face a lot of fears going solo, and it helped me step things up and tackle certain shit. And when it came back down to time to doing another Dilated, a bunch of years have gone by. I had put out 2 or 3 solo things. Raka had put out a solo album. So we came back in 2014 and did Directors of Photography on Rhymesayers. And I'm really proud of that record. The process was different, though. Going back to it after having a big solo stint of doing music, it felt like almost having to relearn it again, you know? On stage, I think we're natural. We always will be. But right now, it feels like it's something that I will never grow out of, but something that I've been used to not doing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know where the future of it lies right now. I know that those are my brothers, and I know that I support anything they do, and I know vice versa. But as far as getting up and making another Dilated right now, I just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of like the Dilated kind of heyday, This Way, Dilated Peoples featuring Kanye West dropped back in 2004. It was a huge record for you guys, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
it was big.
But I'm just curious, do you ever look back at those Kanye hip hop moments with fond nostalgia and then kind of look at what's going on currently and just say like, what the hell's going on, Kanye? What's happening here?
I think anybody who knows him personally would agree that he's pretty much the same person.
Right.
Maybe it's magnified a little bit, but he would do wild, rude shit back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, he was the same. And, you know, granted, I didn't grow up with him. I had maybe 4 or 5 months that we were in each other's lives. That was it, you know. But in that time, we toured together.
Worked on each other's albums.
Yeah, I was like one of the only producers on College Dropout.
For sure.
You know, he got to do our thing. I remember him and John Legend and Keisha Cole came to my apartment on Venice Beach, and they walked in there like, damn, we got to get something like this. You know, like he was young and hungry, and he hadn't had all the success yet. So that was the fun part, is like seeing the innocence of him coming to LA and killing it kind of before it happened, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's always been like this.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a tick he's got or something a little off, you know, but he's made some uncomfortable moments, you know. That's part of his personality. I think with him, honestly, I think what he likes to do, from my experience, is see just through eye contact and body language who he's in control of, or who he can kind of level up on, and he probably can run over those people a little easier. And then the ones who he doesn't get that from, I think he looks eye to eye or maybe possibly avoids, you know. And I never gave him that other thing. So with me, it was a kind of keep it real thing, you know. And I don't know if he respects that or doesn't, but just it was what it was.
Right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Evidence, for your time today, man.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Love.
This has been Hip Hop Vancouver. I'm John Z. This is Evidence. Puff, puff, pass. Let's do this. Peace.